Yo. Back at it again. We're back at it early this week. Got a little early podcast week scheduled because of Fara's got a little bit of travel he's doing this week. So we're joining on a Monday, man. We're fresh off the weekend, fresh off the juice.
Fresh off the firing of the Brian Kelly.
Fresh off the firing of another coach, man. It's crazy
dropping
already.
like flies.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get into that. It's kind of wild. I don't know if I saw it this early. I figured
I didn't see it this early. We both picked them to lose this week, but I think we were thinking maybe in another 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, depending on how like the schedule doesn't set up great. Obviously, when they lose to Vandy last week, get blown out at home against A&M. You got Bama coming off. It's a bye week again, so figure doing the bye week. You got Bama, in 2 weeks. Arkansas, Western Kentucky, and Oklahoma to close it out. So they kind of saw the writing on the wall to like, let's get rid of this guy. Again, another guy who's won like 9 and 10 games his whole tenure at LSU.
I think they said he was like 20-2 at home, but
that was his first second night loss in his career. I think he was 16-1 or something like that.
Something like that. And then what's nuts is it felt like an A&M game, home game, Saturday night in Death Valley.
Yeah,
you heard the band, you heard the fans, you heard the Fire Kelly chants. Like, it was.
Yeah, like I say, we'll get into we'll dive into this whole deal. Just the fit was never there, and that's what a lot of people think. But like I say, as a coach, he just didn't, fit the standard, I guess, of LSU again. And like I say, it's we'll talk about LSU and where they are and all that stuff. But yeah, it's freaking crazy. And like I say, there's more dominoes to fall. Like Hugh Freeze probably would have got fired if they would have somehow not found a way to win their game Saturday. So, like I say, this is not the first. This is the many. And like I say,
he's still not safe.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. No, for sure, it's going to be interesting developments every weekend with your favorite college football coaches across the country.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Gators were on a bye week, obviously getting ready for Florida, Georgia this week. The Noles were on a much-needed bye week as well. So the only team that played last week in the Big Three were the Canes, and they decided to not play in the first half and decided to play in the second half. They just wanted to play 30 minutes of football, I guess. I don't know. It was I watched a little bit of it because I was kind of watching the other big games. And it was just like say watching Stanford the previous week was like, man, I don't want to watch Stanford again.
Yeah, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. It's like watching my old game playing on NCAA back in the day. Yeah, it was the first half was pretty bad. It's just I just can't put my finger on why this time of the year the Miami Hurricanes start to go the other way than how they start the season.
Right.
And just watching it, and like all week, you heard, well, I know most people haven't, and you probably didn't. All the questions were about the running game and the offense and Carson, and all you kept hearing is it's not the play calling, it's the execution, it's the execution, it's the execution. And then Stanford comes out, have a 75-yard drive, and they get up 7. After the Canes get the ball first, they go a quick 3 and out. Stanford gets the ball, they go 75 yards down the field, just like how they did against Florida State. Like you say, it was just you can't say pedestrian for 75 yards, but when you're watching Stanford play, you're kind of like, this is all they're going to do the whole game.
When you look at the totals, man, their totals are terrible.
Yeah, so they get down the field, they score, and then Miami's next several possessions, it's like beating your head against the wall. The Boo Birds came out, and the offense was just, you could tell they were hell-bent on trying to run the football the whole night. And the first half, it was just one of those things where there were no holes. And every team is going to take the blueprint of what Louisville did, but it's no different than what I told you Florida should have done in the first, when Florida Miami played. go straight up the middle at Brockermeyer. And that's what Stanford did. And Brockermeyer was on skates, our center, a lot of the night. And they're going to play that bare front where they cover up every offensive lineman, and they're going to try to let their linebackers shoot the gaps, or defender, the DBs to shoot the gaps to start the run game. Ultimately, what Miami wants to do, they're not going to blow you off the football in a sense like a power blow you off. They want to create a wall with their big linemen and then just lean on you and just push forward. Like, it's not like a fire out and just blow you 3-4 yards off the ball. They just want to kind of get on you. Very technique driven, because Mariball and Cristobal, that's what they do with the offensive line. And they just want to push you back and then let the backs do their thing. So they get a touchdown before the half to make it 7-7. And in the second half, it was just like a whole totally different team that came out. I guess the camo uniforms just threw everybody off the first half. And then second half, they were able to establish the run. The rain started coming down. So the passing game was kind of eliminated for a little bit. I mean, but it was good to see Mark Fletcher and a couple of the backs do some stuff. And in the defense, Akeem Mesidor was out for the game. So the young guys in Lightfoot and Blunt had opportunities to come in. And after that first drive, they settled in and they pretty much dominated Stanford on offense. Stanford threw back-to-back picks, and Miami was able to score. They went up 21-7 in the second half, and they just pretty much put the game away after that.
Yeah, if you look at the totals again, you go 75 yards on that first drive. They finished with 144 total yards in the game.
Yeah.
So they basically didn't do anything for the entirety of the rest of the game. Had the 2 turnovers. Yeah, it was more so again, just like the muddled downness of the Hurricanes offense in the first half was just like, like, why is this game 7-0? And and it was just, again, trying to establish a run, get that going. You're able to run it for basically 200 yards, 199 on the ground. The guy who I want to get more involved in is Brown, man. He had 5 carries for 9 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I say, weather-wise didn't help. But again, Beck, he was efficient. Yeah, exactly. He was 21 to 28.
Since you brought up Carson, the thing that's frustrating is Stanford's they were without 3 of their top, starting DBs. I won't say top, but 3 starting DBs in the game.
Right.
And you're not taking advantage of it in the passing game. So that tells me there's more. It seems like there's a lot going on down in Coral Gables than there's being let on, because it's just the fans are getting frustrated, the media. And then the thing is, Mario is like an ironclad bank. He doesn't let anything out. So you don't know anything until the game of or when the game's going on, because they made it seem like Mesidor is playing the whole game. I mean, the whole week, they're playing they don't have to be like the NFL. They could say this guy's playing, that guy's not playing, or whatever. And he wasn't on their injury report the whole week, and they kept saying he was questionable. And I didn't think he was going to play. And then officially before the game, I don't know if he suited up or not, but he didn't play, which is probably the smart thing if he's, dealing with a little bit of injuries.
Yeah. But what's crazy is, you go back to after the Gator game, where you pretty much dominate that game, and you come out in dominating fashion against Florida State, and then you have that shitty fourth quarter where, all of a sudden you just didn't play very well. And it's like that fourth quarter is like hung over the last 2 games.
Yeah.
Because you come out and you don't play great against Louisville, obviously, and you get your first
bottom 14.
Yeah. And then you just didn't really play
no.
Again, when you win 42-7, you blow them out. Sure.
Yeah,
for sure. It's also in how it looked, too, is like, you just want to come out and just not look lethargic and just not very good in the first half. I mean, it's 4 quarters of ball, but
the 2, and then what's deceiving too is the 2 picks basically put you in the red zone. One put you at, I think it was the 2-3 yard line, and the second one was a quick drive. I mean, the only positive, the 2 biggest highlights of the Cane season is Ruben Bain and Mesidor. I put them 1 and 2 together on the defensive side, and on the offensive side, obviously Malachi Tony. What the kid is doing is unreal. He had a couple good punt returns. If his teammates get out of the way, he might house one of them. I think I did like they started getting a little bit more receivers involved. They had Tony Johnson in the transfer from Cincinnati, And then, you saw Joshua Moore a little bit more in the game, and then JoJo Trader at the end when it was pretty much a blowout. But I think something with the offense, they got to get Carson going. I don't know if they need to change some things. It's not, I don't know. I know they need to change some things up on offense. Even if they just start doing more crossing routes, more slants, more things like that. Not bubble screens, but, routes to where they can get the ball out quicker for Carson. Get the tight ends more involved. I sound like a broken record, but I think that's what they need to do and be more dynamic. I don't know if that's on Dawson or is that's on Mario, but I want to lean more towards Mario is handcuffing Dawson more than anything. But when you're not on the inside, you really don't know.
Yeah, not for sure. Like I say,
but they got the dub,
Yeah, you get the win, pretty much stayed safe on injury front,
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, you got to go on the road for the first time,
Yeah. Honestly, after watching that game, I don't feel confident they're a playoff team. I really don't.
I think they're a playoff team, but
I think they're going to get clipped again. They're going to get clipped again.
I don't.
Should they get spun? Should they get clipped?
I know.
Or two totally different things.
I know.
But if you continue to play like this,
no, you can't play. You can't play on the edge
like this the rest of the way.
They definitely can get clipped by Pitt. I will say that for sure. SMU's, I don't know what their problem is. We'll get into that game here in a second.
But it's Miami. Every team,
I know.
The rest of the way is going to get up to play Miami.
Yeah.
I know people hate they hate when Canes fans say that, but for a lot of these teams, that is their Super Bowl.
Really, the two games that I had circled, going into the season, and then as we've gone on, is this week, going to Dallas against a former playoff team. But like I say, SMU they lost to Wake Forest last week.
Yeah.
And the Pitt game, like I just feel like Syracuse would have been a game to highlight if their quarterback would have stayed healthy all year. NC State hadn't played very well. Obviously, Virginia Tech, they've been a mess too. Yeah. So, like, those are the three winnable games. It was SMU and Pitt are the two games that
and the reason why I say Pitt is just because
Pitt is definitely capable. Pitt is definitely
capable, but we also know how Florida boys act when they get up in the north and it's cold and it's like
that's the whole other thing too. You're playing that game, in Pitt on November 29th
weekend.
Yeah, it's gonna be cold probably. Who knows?
There's no probably in it. Even on a nice non-Pitt cold day, it's still cold for Floridians where it's still going to be 40, 50 degrees.
Yeah. No, like I say, this is what I'm saying. That the margin for error has definitely gone down, and
you won 42-7 and you dropped the spot in the poll.
Right.
So what do you think is going to happen if you lose a game?
Oh yeah. You lose one
and you're out of it. You're pretty much almost
you're out of the ACC race just because the way the unbalanced schedule is going right now.
Right. And they needed Bill Belichick to win
Virginia. They needed that Virginia.
They needed that game.
That was kind of critical. That was kind of big deal.
Yeah. Because if Virginia wins out and Georgia Tech's going to lose out. And then if Louisville wins out, they have the tiebreaker over you. So
and then Pitt's going to play your head-to-head game. So like I said, that's where it all shakes out.
Yeah. So you pretty much just to be in the playoff, because the ACC championship game is out of the way. So you pretty much got to win out and hope that you stay, and not just win out. You got to look respectable winning.
No, that's
clearly
where
you got to.
That's where it's going to. Yeah, exactly. Because that's what I'm saying. I mean, you went 42-7, but people they remember the clunky start and it was 7-0.
But I think it's just the Miami thing where other teams in the top 10 could have weird games like this. But they don't get penalized for it. But Miami will always get penalized for it because the expectation of Miami is so high, even though I don't understand, why they haven't done anything in the last 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
But you have other teams, like I say, in the top 25 that could skate by in a win and people would be like, oh, they won the football game. And it's like, well, yeah, they did. But we'll see going forward. But right now, I'm not confident as a fan that they're going to win out.
Yeah. No, like I say, it should be interesting.
Especially the back half of the season, because we always what have I been saying since we started this podcast?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I say, they
games in the back half of the season
for some reason just don't play well down the stretch. I don't know.
No, I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know if the players are looking ahead saying, it's time to get that bag for the NFL or transfer portal or what.
Yeah.
It's something in that building.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, shit. Since like I say, we'll recap the other big games of last weekend before we hop into this week's games. I thought the slate was fairly decent. I thought obviously that noon window had a good game with the Oklahoma Ole Miss game. That was a good game. Then you had your 3:30 window with some good games, and then the night game, which we kind of thought was going to happen, where LSU got blown out. So,
yeah.
What were your initial thoughts, basically, on Ole Miss beating the Sooners in Norman?
I liked Ole Miss going into that game. I think the offense is clicking. You know, it's more dynamic with Trinidad Chambliss at quarterback. I like Austin Simmons.
Yeah, well, we just haven't seen him. He never got an opportunity. He got hurt, and this guy took over.
Yeah, the thing that just watching the game, and I'm just laughing because I know you're like ready for Lane to just come home to Gainesville. Just come home to Gainesville. I don't know if he's going home to Gainesville, but it's just one of those games where it seems like every time Ole Miss plays a big game, they just do something to just seem like they're going to lose. Like,
yeah.
The offense is moving the ball up and down the field. You get down to the 5. You run a play with Trinidad on first down. The next thing you know, you see Austin Simmons trotting out on second and third, and you're like, "What are you doing? Like, why now? Why are you doing this?" They don't score. And then they do it again on the 2-point conversion later in the game. He brings Austin Simmons in, and I'm just like,
Lane was shaving points, man. He was shaving points.
That's a sensitive subject these days. But what are you doing? Like, I think the offense is going. I get that he's the better passer, but I think the element that Trinidad has been bringing, like you see some plays where the play breaks down and he's able to just get out and make a play and just get 5, 10, 15 yards or pick up a big first down.
He's a great scrambling running quarterback. I mean, he got 53 yards on the ground.
And those deep balls he was
I was really
nice.
I was more so also I like this Kewan Lacey kid. Like, that's the first time I really dude, he's kind of electric.
Yeah.
It's just we knew going in Oklahoma's defense has been playing really, really well. So something had to give because Ole Miss offense is really, really good. So it was like the lesser of two evils of like
I just
good versus
I don't think Mateer's healthy, but he has to go out there and play.
Yeah, I mean, he played about as well as he could, I guess. And like they were able to, they weren't really able to run the ball. They had the big run from the Xavier Robinson where he got the 65-yarder, but other than that, that was really it. They only rushed it for about 60 yards total. Satania had that big touchdown early, but that was really kind of all they did there too.
Yeah.
They didn't get any big stops when they really, really needed to.
Not really.
And so I mean, Oklahoma played well, but I mean, I think these were two good teams, and obviously Ole Miss did enough to get the win. And like I said, this is where now all expectations are on Ole Miss to roll these last 4 games.
Yeah, so, you would think, but I think as long as they don't keep making those mistakes, I mean, you can see these. If you watch the game, you saw when Lane was like, "My bad, I shouldn't have done that." After the whole debacle of being down in the red zone where he put Austin Simmons in, and it's like, all right, I get it. Austin Simmons is a great kid. He knows how to throw the football. Blah 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 blah. But why throw off the rhythm of your team and your offense? Whereas more than likely, if he's in the game, the team defense knows is like, all right, he's throwing the ball. Whereas if Trinidad's in, you have the element of they could run the football or still throw. I still think he's not the best thrower. He's not better than Simmons, but I think they're still good enough to do a lot of things.
He's throwing some dots though. He's doing
well. I mean, like probably what they're thinking is short, like from the five on in. And where you need to get a dot in there, like you said, like a zip pass, Austin Simmons is probably better. But hey, the kid won't get any better if you keep taking him out. But like I say, the Ole Miss defense played pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I say, the first several series, I was surprised how the OU defense was just letting them go up and down the field for the most part. Yeah, but it was a good game. It was a really good game.
Yeah, no, like to me, I think the Alabama South Carolina game was pretty awesome. The Vandy Missouri game was kind of boring in my opinion.
3-3 at the half.
Yeah. So, which one do you want to go to first? Which one?
Let's knock out
Van-
Mizzou and Vandy.
Yeah. Like I say, are you tired of Diego Pavia?
No,
No.
no,
I know he's rubbing some people wrong. I know that for sure.
whatever.
And like
That's their problem. Don't
no,
listen.
for sure. Yeah. Like I say, I just I've seen report I've seen stuff out there like I'm tired of this guy.
Well,
you know?
I guess I really don't pay a lot of attention
Yeah,
to
yeah,
it.
yeah. No, I
see
know.
him here and there. I'm not seeing him
Yeah, that's
on
what I'm
a
saying.
level.
He's
I
not
saw him
like
on Nightcap and all of that. He's hanging out with Theo Vaughn, and
yeah.
I guess people are just saying, "Hey, man." But when you're when you're at a school like Vandy and you're balling, hey, man.
I guess here too. I guess too here. What do you think Vandy's going to do the rest of the season? And we'll get into the Missouri game. Obviously, Missouri, you lose Bo Beulah in that second half there.
Yeah, that dirty play. That kid should be suspended.
Yeah, that really hurt them big time.
Mm-hmm.
Now Vandy made a couple big plays, obviously, to win that game.
The freshman played really good though.
He actually
played pretty good.
Zollers played pretty good for sure.
Yeah, they were still in the game of the opportunity.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I guess, like I say, big win for Vandy because Missouri's a pretty scrappy team this year.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're looking at, this 4-game stretch that Vandy had where they went to Bama, they lost that one, beat LSU, beat Missouri, and they're going to Austin this week to play Texas. And then they close out with
they're
Auburn.
Underdog in that game.
Yeah, no,
they're currently. I saw
it's a 2 point. It's Texas, a 2.5 point. Yeah, that's a home favorite.
Why?
That's a home favorite.
Okay.
I'm actually going to pick Texas to beat them this week too. But yeah. They got Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee after that. So they got Texas, Auburn, Kentucky, Tennessee.
Theoretically, they should only have 2 losses.
What do you? I was about to say. So you got them going 10-2. That's what you think?
I think they're going to lose to Tennessee.
Yeah.
The rest of those games they should be able to win.
Yeah. I think I've got them going 9-3 because obviously I think they're going to lose to Tennessee too. But I think they're going to get beat this week. I don't know. I just think the juice runs out. Again, Texas is playing like ass, but somehow finding ways to win their games too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you go back and we talked about this too, even last year with kind of Missouri. Vandy's they've been fortunate with a light schedule, in my opinion. Now, yes,
I agree.
You got beat by Bama. They were in that game. Mm-hmm. You beat this LSU team that now looks fraudulent. Mm-hmm. Missouri is a solid team. So now you got all these expectations. Let's see if you can go win these last 4 games,
For sure.
Go on the road and beat a Texas team.
Well, when people are
and like I say,
people are really watching and all of that.
Right. And again,
the spotlight is on you now.
Yeah, like Vandy's played really good for sure. But let's see what you could do because hell, I could see him losing to Auburn too. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I think Pavia's playing really good ball. And like I say,
I just think he's just such a difference maker for them. And
like number wise, they really didn't light it up.
No, they really did. Like I said, it was
they had that big run. They had that big run in the second half that kind of basically won the game for them. And they had some.
Doesn't get hurt.
I was saying Vandy. I guess the other thing I was kind of surprised about is kind of how well Vandy's defense actually played. The boys were goal line stands and thumping, like they were playing ball. So like
not trying to jump too far ahead, like next season far ahead, but enjoy it now because once Pavia is done, what do you do after that?
That and is Clark Lee even going to be there?
Right. Well, that too.
If you were a betting man right now, would you say Clark Lee's the coach at Vandy next year?
I would say no. I can see why he would want to say because it's his alma mater.
That's a school.
But he has to understand too. Don't be like Matt Campbell and get stuck there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, remember when Matt Campbell at Iowa State was the hot guy?
He was always the hot name. He was always the hot name everywhere.
I mean, he still gets talked about a little bit, but not at the level of what he was talked about 3-4 years ago.
He's not being rumored for any of these big jobs right now.
I've seen rumors about Penn State, but that's just different. But if I'm him, it's a lot to weigh on this this offseason. But if I'm him, if it's a bigger job, you might want to take that bigger job because, like I said, after this year and Pavia seniors leave, we don't know what to expect. You might go back to being the old Vandy, and then next thing you know, in 2-3 seasons, he's fired. And he's not getting one of those big jobs. You hate to tell people what to do, be in their pockets and all of that. But at the same time, in their profession, You have to strike when the iron's hot.
Yeah, I agree.
That's just their profession.
How about the Crimson Tide? 4 straight games. Well, I guess Carolina wasn't ranked, but they played those 4 other ranked games back to back to back. And, we had our text chat going Saturday morning of who we liked and stuff. And Joe's biggest thing was, can Bama, win this game and cover? And I said, I like Bama to win the game, but I was like, the number was a little high for me because there's got to be a little bit of a letdown after playing, Georgia, Vandy, Missouri, Tennessee, rivalry games. You get all those wins. You're playing against the South Carolina team again. South Carolina is kind of like the Gators, kind of like Arkansas, where you better get up for them because they can get you.
Right. That middle of the road team that still has talent.
Plus, they're playing at home, that type of, all that stuff. So
one of the best environments in college football.
That 3 or 4 win team, like, you better not mess around is all I'm saying.
And they were.
And they kind of messed around, but, credit South Carolina. Their defense really played well, in my opinion. The South Carolina defense really got after they got after Ty Simpson a little bit. They also slowed that run game down. But, what's crazy is, like I say, Bama did everything they needed to do to win that game, and it was pretty wild how that last sequence of events went down. Because I know Carolina, you saw there's a great video. Did you see the video where they did the side by side of the fans going in and the fans going out? Like, it was
I didn't see that.
They were like this was literally 10 minutes apart. It was like all the fans kind of going down, converging to the bottom, and then all of a sudden you see all the fans exiting.
Oh, they were ready to rush the field.
Yeah, right, exactly. They were all leaving from the uppers. Same thing happened to your boy Brandon Walker at the Mississippi State.
Yeah, I saw that. That was hilarious. So more on this game. Like you said, I think Bama's defense played pretty good, even though the Carolina offense was able to move up and down.
Like I say, Carolina didn't really light up. They hit them on the big play with Harbor.
Yeah.
They got that turnover on the muff punt play.
That he probably got pushed in the back.
Yeah.
What is up with the number 2 at Alabama?
Yeah.
Both number 2s, offense and defense, that can't catch the damn football.
Yeah, man. Ryan Williams with some big drops again. Bernard had a crucial drop on a second or third down play. But it was just, like I say, credit South Carolina. Their D played really well.
Yeah,
Sellers did his thing. He did his thing through the air and on the ground.
Dude, that last play, you got to get down. I for the life of me, I'm watching it, and I'm just like, why are you trying to fight for more yards when you guys basically you're in position to win the football game, and you're sitting there fighting? And I get that you're big, strong, and like, for me, these young quarterbacks drive me nuts because it's like, at some point you got to know when to just say, I got to eat it. And I mean, he got 2-3 yards, and I think it was Keenan. I think Keenan was the one that ripped the ball out, made a hell of a play.
That was a ball play.
Hey, thank God they didn't have the officials from the Giants and Eagles game yesterday.
I saw that. That was pretty bad. I don't understand that one at all.
Down.
Yeah,
I mean, the kid just goes in there and he just weight room to the ball. He just ripped that thing out, and Bama got it. But you just got to know that's a football player just trying to make a football play in Sellers. But you have to know, like, the situation of the game and say, hey, I just got to get down right here.
The thing that I thought too was, critical drive. You're watching the game play out. You have the muff punt play. So now you got to go down and score and get a 2-point conversion. And just to even send this thing to overtime.
Yeah.
Like, that drive was great. I'm talking about, good calls, great execution. It was good everywhere. And then, the touchdown play. And then, I was sitting here. I was going to text before that. I was like, damn, the touchdown play. I was like, maybe he should have saved that for the 2-point play. And then he came, did one better with the 2-point
dialed it up.
So it was like that. And then again, the play that scored the touchdown. Now, I know obviously the guy let him score, so they would at least try to get the ball back for South Carolina. But that was another little fake end around reverse style play where Bernard, it was still a first down, and they could have taken a knee, or could have went down. And won the game. He was in his bag, dude.
Was it the touchdown or 2-point? The touchdown was the orbit motion.
It was a little swing play down to the bottom to.
Okay, so the 2-point play was the orbit motion to Bernard. Yeah. Didn't that remind you of the Smitty play in the national championship game?
Yeah, it was similar to it for sure. Yeah. Like I say, I love the Wildcat slide over,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was
Dude,
that was pretty good.
there are some creative
Like I say, he
minds.
was like, this is the 2-point play.
Yeah.
They already
What
knew. They already knew what they were doing.
what game was it where I saw they did something like that where they had the quarterback running back, but to confuse the defense, they flopped the tackles. Like the tackles went in motion
Yeah, it was
and
I
and
think it was
flopped.
I feel like it was
Was
North
it the
Carolina
Missouri
or
game?
Virginia.
It was one game
I
where the
saw that.
tackles flopped and then it just threw the
I
defense off.
feel like it was Virginia.
It could have been. It could have been. That was like a good disguise in a sense.
I think it was Virginia, Tony Elliott. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, like I say, Bama wins another one. Like I say, now, can
Hey,
they
just
kind
keep
of
winning, man.
can they collect their breath? They get a bye week. Now you get
Mhm.
LSU coming. They just fired Brian Kelly.
Mhm.
You got to feel good, where you're at. Oklahoma, that was the game you lost. That's a get back game. Eastern Illinois, that's a blowout. I will say, hell, Auburn will probably make it interesting just to make it interesting, and then there be an Iron Bowl. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
Bama's,
mean,
like I
remember
say,
week 1, they were dead to rights and they're ready to
yeah,
fire
man.
DeBoer and run
No,
them
for
out of
sure. Like I
Tuscaloosa.
say, Bama's
He's a hell of a
completely.
coach, man. I
He
just don't think
is. He's
he
he's
gets
a winner. He
enough credit
wins. He definitely wins.
everywhere he's been.
Yeah. No, like I say. So, like I say, Bama with the big win. Let's see, who else do we have? Indiana put a freaking smackdown on UCLA for all
Yeah.
that. That was a game you were like, let's see what UCLA can do.
Yeah.
hello.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, before we
Indiana.
get to the LSU game, the big game of the weekend was South Florida versus Memphis.
Yeah, that you want to talk about a shit the bed, man.
You were up 30,
South Florida.
31-17.
Yeah, you gave up 17 points in the fourth quarter. I'm sitting
Yeah.
there thinking South Florida's going to win this thing going away. They completely blow it.
Mhm.
Yeah, so now Memphis is in that catbird seat, like we were talking about for
That
that.
that conference is I think they're getting one in. I think that conference is how it's sitting
Yeah, they're
unless they
going to get the. Yeah, they're going to get the G5 because I don't think it's going to be from Mountain West. I
No,
just
and
don't.
it's just showing you that the conference is pretty good, and
Yeah,
like you say, you still got Navy, you still got
they got
Tulane,
Tulane. Yeah, so
and then you got
and I know,
these two teams.
and I know they got to play each other. So yeah, the only way is if they cannibalize each other and give each other too many
Mhm.
losses or
The
something that
only
could
way.
happen. I mean, that's a possibility. But
It's
yeah,
possible, yeah.
yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's hop into the game that got this guy fired. Brian Kelly and the LSU Bayou Bengals get their ass shellacked. They
At
played all
home,
right in the first half. They
at
made some
night.
things. They made some things happen in that first half where you're like, how the heck is LSU in the
Mhm.
lead at halftime? And they were doing some okay things. And then
Marcel Reed went into the
Marcel
phone booth.
Reed, rushes for 100 yards, throws for 200, 300 total.
That kid is
He had the two
dynamic.
interceptions. He is electric, man. And
Yeah,
I remember watching the electricity in this game last year.
yeah.
And yeah, like A&M is starting to creep up there where, they're one of these teams that you don't want to play. They got the dynamicness of, this offense like this. If Reed can play really well and he's
Mhm.
able to run it like he can, and obviously when he throws it well, like I say, what's crazy is
What do
that,
you do? It's like
yeah, no, you got to pick your poison.
what do you it's like, do you stop the run game? Because I love their offensive line and I love all their backs. And they
Yeah,
don't even have their best back yet. And if I'm
right,
them, I
right.
hold out Le'Veon Moss as long as I can
Why not?
because
Yeah,
I think Daniels and Owens and Smith are doing a great job
totally.
of being able to run the football. And you hold them out as long as you can. And then their receivers with Concepcion and the other guys, they're
Braver,
really
yeah.
good.
No, they
But
are.
like you say, if Marcel Reed could just be efficient,
Yeah,
what do
and
you
like I
do?
say, defensively, they're what's weird is they've had a couple games where they've allowed points. Obviously, you
Mhm.
go back to the Notre Dame game, you go back to the Arkansas game. Yeah, they allowed 25 this past week, but it was kind of garbage. But defensively, Elko's gonna if they can rush the passer, that front four is really, really good.
Really good.
And you can't have those games where you give up 40 points, and they've done that twice. So those are one of the things that, like, hey,
Right.
all right, you can win in a shootout, and that's fine. They got Missouri, South Carolina, Samford, and Texas to close out the year, and they'll be favored in all those
You would
games.
think, yes, I was gonna say you would think, I think with
They're at
Pabula,
Missouri and at Texas, but
yeah,
no
without
Bo
Pabula, you would
Perugia.
think,
That's next. They're on a bye week, so that's another good thing. They got a
yeah,
bye, and then they get to go play at Missouri. So they kind of like, all right, you kind of take your breath after you
Who's
had
that next game after that? You said before Sanford. And
South Carolina at home.
that might
Again,
be
you don't
the tricky one.
you don't want to sleep on that game. They'll beat
Right.
Sanford, and then you get the rivalry game at Texas
Yeah.
Thanksgiving weekend.
Where you just throw everything out the window.
Yeah,
and
I mean that's a rivalry game. We'll, like I say, but
I still
A&M right
understand
now,
how Texas is ranked, but okay.
yeah, I mean, like I say,
The
I don't
Arch
either.
effect.
Yeah, they
have not looked like they've been good enough to be ranked in the top 25.
Definitely not.
Sorry
They
to
lost,
talk about that right now, but
yeah. They lost to the number one team in the nation week 1, and then they lost to the Gators, and they've won a couple games after that, but they haven't looked impressive. I guess they look good in the OU win, but they obviously, we can hop into, like I say, LSU.
Let's just talk about Kelly real quick.
Fires Kelly. Part of it yesterday was the rumors were coming out. They were having meetings, and you thought they were going to maybe fire some coaches. Next thing you know, another meeting comes out, and they're basically saying, yeah, they're going to fire Kelly. Then next thing you know, he's fired, yada, yada, yada.
It just was never a fit from the beginning. I get why LSU wanted to go and swing for the fences for a coach that's really – I think Brian Kelly is a good coach.
I do too.
Offensive mind. It's just at some point we all have to admit sometimes with some universities and some situations, it has to be a fit. We didn't go too deep into this last week with the Billy thing, but I think like for the University of Florida as well, you have to get a guy that fits, that checks the boxes of, can he handle recruiting in the SEC? Can he handle the fan base? What style of play does he have? Like, it's hard taking a guy from the North and bringing him to the South and being in the SEC when he's not familiar with all of that stuff. I'm not saying it can't happen.
And that's kind of like why, going to the Gator example of like Drinkowitz. Like, I think he's a really good coach. I just don't know if he fits the Gators. You know what I'm saying? Like if we were to want to hire him, like I think he's a really good coach, and who knows, he could work out, but it just, there's a part of me that's just like, I don't know.
But at the same time, as a Gator fan, you're tired of all of the odd BS that goes on outside of coaching. You don't want to see Darth Vader at the damn press conference anymore. You don't want to see photos of my coach hugging a shark. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, McElwain was another guy that I'm like, this guy is like out of left field. Like, he was the coordinator at Bama and stuff like that, but
you don't want the aw shucks of Billy, the Southern boy. Like, can you coach?
Yeah.
Can you coach? Can you relate to what we want? Can you uphold the standard of the University of Florida? Can you uphold the standard of being at the boot and at LSU? And do you fit the culture? I didn't think Brian Kelly fit the culture of LSU.
Yeah,
I don't think he related to those kids.
No, he didn't. And like I say,
he did not relate to those kids.
He's lambasting his, coaches. Like, you can see it on TV where he's just ripping the OC. You could read lips. He's ripping the
one with
special teams coach. Yeah, he's ripping the player last year.
Yeah.
Again, it just and I'm all for that. You can rip a player and all that, but it's just like it begins to become too much and it wears. And
on everybody,
even if you're winning games, like the part of it was, go back and look at what he's had too. I mean, he had Jaden Daniels, man, and the BTJ and Neighbors and those guys.
That's what you're going to get. But that's what you're going to get at LSU. You're going to get those kids in Louisiana. I mean, they have the Saints. I was about to say they don't have really a pro team, but they have the Saints. But those kids growing up in the boot love LSU, and they love being at home at Louisiana. You're going to get the OBJs. You're going to get the all those guys. I can't think of all their names right now, but all, like you said, the Neighbors, the Pat Peas, and all of those guys, the Fournettes, they want to stay home and play for LSU. So if you could get the right guy in there that's still a great recruiter, but also a good head coach, and then brings in guys, it goes back to our conversation with Joe on the text thread where we're talking about Indiana. It's like, I think Indiana's being successful because they're allowing their coach to coach, and he brought all his guys in. Like, that's what makes it amazing what Nick Saban did at Alabama, where he was just turning over staffs every year, but the standard never dropped. And not everyone could do that. And if you bring your staff in, and like, I think that's the big change in the Alabama offense this year. he brought in someone that he trusts in Ryan Grubb to call plays. And you see the difference in the Alabama offense. You take out the outlier of the Florida State game. I think that was just Ty Simpson with no experience, really.
Yeah.
And you bring in guys that you know that you're familiar with. It's kind of like even with Mario with Mariball. He doesn't do really, he still, does technique and stuff with the offensive line, but he trusts Mariball so much that he doesn't have to worry about that. And I think that's why Billy had issues at Florida. He doesn't have anyone he trusted to call the plays or be the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And he got stubborn and it just didn't work out. And that's just what it is today. You got to have people around you that you trust.
Yeah, no, for
Not
sure.
everyone's going to be like Nick Saban.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why even Cignetti is kind of an outlier too. He's been, it kind of goes back to the DeBoer of these guys maybe been coaching on a lower level, but they just win wherever they go. And
but they bring their guys with them.
Right. And I guess the part of it too is like, how do you get that coach with the proven track record and all that stuff and who wins, and what's crazy about the coaching carousel right now is just like, it's, there's only 3 coaches who are coaching right now who have national titles, and that's, those are the 3 best programs who those coaches ain't going nowhere. And that's even Dabo, who everybody hates at Clemson, Ryan Day, who Ohio State wanted Ryan Day out of there, last year, and they won a national title, and the other guy's Kirby, so like everybody else is just coaching like everybody else. They ain't got no titles. They ain't won nothing. So you can't, it's not about like, yes, you can go by the whole thing of like James Franklin hasn't won big ranked games. Sure. Or you go by, this guy just hasn't coached enough times to play in ranked games. Or you have a guy like Brom who's won a lot of ranked games, but, he's won at Purdue, I guess a little bit, he's won big games at Purdue, but, it wasn't like he didn't turn Purdue into some like 9-10 win
but
team
I think
before he got to the Louisville job.
But I think, though, when he was at Purdue, they weren't winning in 9-10 games, but by the Purdue standard,
no, that's what I'm saying.
He
turned
had
that
them up
program
in
to, at least where they were
Ohio State.
They beat Ohio
Michigan.
State, who was ranked number 2.
They knew when they played Purdue and Brom, they better be ready. It wasn't like they could sleepwalk into that game.
What's funny is I was listening to one of the other Gator podcasts, and they did like a graph of like different variables of like coaches and did like a blind test. It was about, winning your winning percentage or win versus top 10 or top 20. Also, your offensive play calling style. It was a whole bunch of different stuff. Even your affordability of how much it's going to cost this coach or whatever. It was like a big graph. And, it was like this circle. And then all the things would kind of, it almost looked like the thing on NCAA where like the coaching tree branches out and makes a big circle of like, and then you look at it, you're like, man, this circle here, this guy, whoever this coach is, he's got a big graph, and this one's got a big graph, and this one. So it's a blind test of like, okay, these are the coaches. Who are they? And then tell me, would you want this guy as your coach? And it was pretty funny because when people were doing they were doing it on a live YouTube last night, and so they were having people like, say, just tell me your number, 1, 2, give me 3, give me 4, give me 5, whatever. And so box that got the most was, I think, box number 1, number 2, and number 4. Those were the 4 or the 3 out of the 6. And what's surprising is the names of the basically the top candidates are not the guys who like are in my top. So who would you think those coaches would be if I want Lane number 1? Now his box got picked a lot, but it wasn't the most. So who would you think the boxes would be? Just rough stab.
It probably would be a James Franklin.
It wasn't. His was actually the worst because of the
big games.
Exactly.
So, but before I pick, it just hit me.
It's a name that we didn't even bring up last week.
Who was it?
Go ahead. I want you to stab.
No. So before I stab, what I was gonna say. Like a guy, you made me think about it. When you think about a guy like Drinkowitz, it's like he's been successful at Missouri, but at the same time, what have we been saying the last 3 years about Missouri? They don't play anybody. Their schedule is easy.
They've had the easy, unbalanced schedule.
It goes back to what Joe texted us, which was a great question. I don't know if it was you or Joe. It was you, I think, when you said, "What if Billy was the coach at Indiana? What if Billy at Florida had the Indiana schedule?
No,
and what if
I don't think it was
Cignetti had
Indiana.
the Florida?
I think it was Rutgers.
Right.
I think it was. I think it
So
was if Billy was the coach at if Billy was the coach at Rutgers,
with
what
the
would his
same
record be?
team, well, yeah, and I think we don't factor that in. It's like when you come to when you become a coach in the SEC,
Yeah,
every week is going to be tough. Not everybody's going to have an Eli Drinkwitz type schedule where you only have 1 or 2 games, and that's how I feel
right.
about the Big Ten coaches. Is like
Yeah,
we we got Purdue, we got Northwestern, we got Rutgers, we got UCLA. Yeah, heck, we dodged Ohio State this year, and
mm-hmm.
you go down that list, and I'm still trying to think about the guy you're talking about, and it's just, I mean, you look at a guy like at Utah, he's been there forever. I can't
Yeah,
think of my
Winningham.
man's name.
Winningham.
He's been there forever.
He's actually. What's funny too is we've had other guys on another Gator podcast guy too. He asked like the AI of like, give me the top 10 coaches with ranked wins and this and winning percentages, blah 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 blah. Whittingham's in the top 10. Whittingham's in the
Yeah,
top
for
10.
sure.
You know?
But I think he's I don't
in the
think he's
elder.
leaving.
No, and
Yeah.
plus he's an older coach.
Yeah, he's not leaving. I think he said that's it at Utah.
Yeah,
Once
yeah.
he's done, that's it. Damn, who is it? What
All right, well,
conference is he in?
I'll give you in the Big Ten.
Don't say Lincoln Riley.
Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley, buddy.
When you said Big Ten, that was the first person I thought of was Lincoln Riley.
Riley.
So I think Lincoln could be successful at Florida.
Right.
But the caveat is, who is his defensive coordinator?
Right.
He has to bring.
Would you just let it be Ron Roberts? Keep Ron Roberts and the staff on?
I would.
Why not? Right?
If I'm Lincoln Riley, I like their defensive coordinator. They have kind of now, Lynn, but I just don't like what I've been seeing on their defense, because I think he did a decent
for sure.
job at UCLA.
When he had Grinch, he carried him over too long at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's crazy is you think about, Lincoln Riley was the number one name for every job. When he had Oklahoma kind of rolling, he had all the quarterbacks and the Heisman talk. For whatever reason, it goes back to fit. He just hasn't fit at USC, and I don't know why.
You would think it'd be an easy fit for him.
Right. So
I just think it's the pressure of LA, and there's really not. It's weird because
I know
there's no pressure really in LA, but there is pressure at USC in a sense.
The other thing I've heard is he doesn't love LA. Like, he doesn't love living in that city.
It's LA.
So who knows? Like I say,
it takes you 3 hours to get everywhere.
Yeah, Lincoln.
Would you be if he went if Strickland went on the beaten path, and all of a sudden you hear Lincoln Riley is going to be your coach? How would you feel?
I'd be okay with it. Honestly, because now, like I say, the Lane thing, obviously Lane is 1A, and what's drawing it out now is the fact that they're going to be in the playoff. And so now you're literally banking on, will he or won't he? Then you throw in the whole mixture of LSU's available as well, even though I feel like Florida fits Lane better than LSU. But it's like, now I got to sit here and wait because of a back deal channel going on with Sexton and whoever the hell saying, all right, Lane's taking the job. And then how far are they going to go in the playoff? How long are you waiting? I don't want to be in that situation. So, but then again, same thing with USC. I mean, I guess here's the thing. USC's lost. Like, they're not going to the playoff. Lincoln can immediately start saying, hey, start calling Strickland. Yeah. Tell him I'm interested. I want to interview.
Well,
and like I say, then it goes from there. Who knows? Because then the next guy with the biggest circle or the biggest thing on that graph that I was talking about was Brom, and then the number 3 biggest graph was the guy you said last week who I said no, Jedd Fisch. And so
really,
and then he had the third because.
I think the problem with Jedd,
he won at Arizona, and he's winning at Washington right now.
So that I was going to say, I think that's the problem with Jedd. The problem with Jedd was he's been job hopping so much in the last 10, 15 years to where he doesn't have anything on his resume where you're like, okay, hey,
I think the other thing too is people are talking about Gator guys. I've been listening to, like I say, Hot Board talking all that. They say the thing with Brom is the fit. Like, he doesn't like to talk. He's kind of a low, mild man. Like, he's at he's at his place, Louisville. That's like he can stay there
Mhm.
forever. He played there. They'll build a statue. They'll win 9 games. Are they ever going to win a national title? Probably
I don't think
not.
so.
Can they make a playoff run? Sure.
Yeah.
But so then it comes down to recruiting,
Which he does.
talking to Gator boosters,
Yeah.
that type of thing. Is
I
it
think
like Brian Kelly? So it's like,
So that's the thing. What I was talking about earlier. Can you do all those things?
Yeah, right. You got to check all
And
those
at the
boxes.
University of Florida, that's probably bigger than the actual coaching. You going on the buffet circuit and talking to the boosters,
Yeah, because those are the guys who you're asking for money to pay for these
Yeah.
guys now.
and doing all those like Gator clubs and all of that is like, when you listen to sports talk radio, you hear, oh, this coach is going to be here doing this in the Panhandle. Then he's going to be in Southwest Florida, and he's going to be all these places. And then you're sitting there like, well, when is he going to coach?
Yeah, well,
You know what I'm saying?
And
then I
this is
think that's where you had to have your staff in place.
Yeah,
That's
no,
why a guy like Cignetti, I bet you Cignetti could leave and go do these engagements and still feel comfortable
Yeah.
leaving his staff behind.
Yeah, no, like I say, and that like where that also tends me to lean is like you couldn't twist my arm, or I'd be like, all right, give me James Franklin, just because I know again he could stabilize. Hell, he could start recruiting tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like he's available.
Yeah.
And so again, that's where you're in this whole wait and see game. And I
think the big thing
I hate it.
The big thing about Franklin too is where he could do the, hey, Scott Strickland, I'll come in at $4 million, and the rest of the money that I should be getting, we could do that in a pool of coaches or towards NIL, because
no, totally, because you're getting a big huge buyout. You're still getting your buyout from Penn State.
Penn State has to pay me. Now, speaking of buyouts and all of that, buddy at LSU, the AD.
Yeah, you want him to hire the next coach?
No, because that's the same guy that hired Jimbo at Texas A&M, and it didn't.
120 million in buyouts from 2 guys.
From one person making decisions. If I'm LSU and I'm the board of trustees, I'm like, you are not making this call by yourself. You are not. We're bringing in former players. We're bringing, like I say, the board's going to be sitting in on this. Yeah, you might think you made the final decision, but no, you need to bring this to us and we need to talk about it, because we're not going to let you make another decision that just doesn't work and you cause us another 40, 50 million. Now,
well, bet online, they have the odds right now for the LSU head coaching job. Number 1 guy, John Summerall.
Just because he's right down the street in New Orleans.
Number 2, your boy Joe Brady. And then number 3,
I would not be mad at that if I'm LSU.
Then number 3 is Lane, and then James Franklin, Eli Brom. So
now the thing with the Joe Brady is, who does he bring in? He's going to have to bring in an experienced associate head coach to kind of help him out to get through, because I don't think he's ever been a head coach. And
no, he hasn't. He's just been a coordinator.
He's going to have to get back in the routine of things of recruiting in college. Like, does he want that? Because that's what everyone kept saying when, he's going to be the next OC here, the new OC here. But before Ken Dorsey got fired at Buffalo, and all the rumors kept saying is he doesn't want to recruit. He doesn't want to go out on the road. He doesn't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
And is the LSU job better than being the OC of the Bills? I mean, on paper, you might say, just because he's a head coach, but your quality of life in the NFL is totally different.
Yeah, you don't have to do all that stuff. That's where I read an article earlier on like Football Scoop.
Mm-hmm.
They were saying they're really close to like Brian Kelly, for example, and they were like, what's Brian Kelly going to do after this? They were like, he'll take that $50 million to go sit on the beach. He won't never coach again, maybe. Like that's and I could totally see Brian Kelly doing that too. He'd be like, screw this, I don't have to go.
As long as he doesn't have one of those poison pills, I'll call it, that James Franklin had.
Yeah,
where you got to go find a coach. I mean, go find a job. I think the other argument that's been coming out, I've been hearing a lot, is the buyout numbers. And I'm sitting there and I was talking about this at work, and our text thread with Berg last night is, I get it. Those numbers are ridiculous, but you have to, like, no coach is going to be like, yeah, I'll take a 4-year extension making $4 million a year, which puts me at my total at 20. Like, no one's going to take less than the next guy. That's at any job. And
it's just like the NFL with the numbers in free agency. the numbers are going to continue to go up every year. It's just
and I
inflation,
think
man.
people get mad about it, and I'm like, but that's just the number. That's just the price of doing business in 2025.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's going up in
should
2030.
Mike
In 2030, the
Norvell?
numbers are going to be crazy.
Yeah, should Mike Norvell have gotten a 10-year deal worth whatever it was? Probably not. But he had 2 back-to-back good seasons, and his agent, aka the key maker for everyone in college football, made a great deal because guess what? The Alabama job opened and this job opened, and he pinned them all against each other. And he said, Florida State, if you want to keep my guy, he's thinking about the Alabama job.
Like I say,
think
think about Lane right now and being like, all right, LSU, what are you going to do, Gators? Like I said, I didn't reply to that the Buddy Martin thing with the whole, that was, like I say, it was the sources were, I don't know, basically no money or no offer had been offered to Lane. So the whole 81 million, the reports
I
on
wasn't
that
even
kind of
bring that up. That's just speculation.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But now again, now you got these 3 jobs. I mean, you could have Lane be like, "Hey, I'm interested in Penn State." You know what I'm saying? He could just say like, Penn
and
State.
His agent, and that's the problem with having one power agent.
No, totally.
He's doing the deals for everyone. He's doing the buyout. He's doing the extension, or he's doing the head coaching. So he knows how much Billy made, and he knows how much Lane is going to possibly make if Ole Miss gives him an extension.
Yeah.
And he knows what LSU job is going to be worth. And he's sitting there playing all 3 against each other. And he's the one person doing all 3. And he's just like, hey, this is what my guy is worth. And even if you say, that's too much, we're going to go to John Summerall. He's probably Jimmy Sexton is probably his agent as well. And he's probably like, well, yeah, he's not Lane value, but Lane's want 13, but John wants 10.
Yeah.
Is that still a great deal? 5 years at 10 million? That's still a lot of money when you think about it. Because I think what people aren't factoring in is you gotta have those extensions, or you're going to be negative recruited against the whole time.
Oh yeah, for
and I don't think people, unless people have been around recruiting, they have no idea how these
thing. I guess what's wild too is this is a new landscape. Is like recruiting is in a sense a lot easier now because it's just about how much you're going to pay me, and so you still build relationships, but it's also what you're bringing to the table. You have to build
that relationship.
No, for sure. But here's the thing, though. The relationship doesn't have to be as strong as it once used to be because it's all about he paying me more. All right, I'll come here. I'll stay here. Oh, you're going to re-up me for a new NIL deal. All right, I'll stay here.
I don't care that I was a Gator since I was born.
100%. Yeah,
FSU. If the dollar amount's right, I'll wear that Goddard and go.
That's what I'm saying. That's done and over with. So the recruiting aspect is a little bit different. That's why what I mentioned this to Dave a while back. I'm like, did we fire Dan Mullen too soon? To whereas like,
so.
No, he does. He totally does. And like, that's where recruiting was still kind of prevalent. And he kind of made comments about, he wasn't worried about recruiting. He was worried about in-game coaching and all that, yada, yada, yada. Things just went sideways in that last year with Dan. Yeah. But, this day and age at Florida where Dan can just be like, all right, pay this guy, we want, you want to come here? You want to, it's a little bit different. Yeah, sure. You build a relationship, but just get in your bag and coach ball plays, again, hindsight, it's over and done with, but it's hard to say whether or not we should have or shouldn't have. But
no, for sure.
It is what it is. And like I say, coaches are getting fired at an all-time high clip, and nobody's safe. You're all fired. So
because it's going to be probably three to 5 more jobs open.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In the next couple of weeks.
I totally agree. Yeah. All right, well let's jump on ahead. We've been an hour already in. Like we said, beefy
we talked about coaching for like what 20, 30 minutes.
I know, beefy episodes. So let's there was some other good games last weekend, but nothing really crazy earth-shattering. Mississippi State was the funny one. They blew that freaking second half. But anyway, moving on. All right. Let's jump in. Let's go. Let's get this shit out of the way. Let's go. Wake Forest, Florida State, Noles back at it in tally.
Dude,
I don't know what to think. I think Florida State should win this game, but again, I don't know. I mean, Wake
They
Wake got
need
the
they
upset. They pulled the 1-point upset against SMU
yeah.
last week.
Hopefully they got healthy. Hopefully Florida State got
Yeah,
healthy. They were dealing with a lot of injuries.
is Tommy Castellanos back?
I have no idea.
I
He
don't
should
either.
be.
I mean, it's early in the week, so we haven't got an
Well,
injury
I
report or
did. I
nothing.
saw something. I saw something earlier where it said, should they continue to play him or should they go with Sperry, the freshman, and just move on to next year? I don't think it's that
Ooh,
time yet.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
do that.
exactly. I wouldn't either. But I guess if you did it, you would think this would be the game to do it. But
Yeah.
is Pittman healthy? Deuce Robinson, Squirrel Right? Is Tommy healthy? You know what I'm saying? If you go in and just keep it simple and just go out there and your athletes are better than theirs, I think that offensively the problem is they've been running the football. I think they're just taking too many shots down the field. Too many 50-50 balls, man.
Yeah.
They're just
Like,
putting and then they get behind the chains and it's just like, but that's just football in general. It's just driving me nuts. Everything doesn't have to be a 50-50 ball. Why don't you just get it to your playmakers and just let them play? Get it to them as quick as possible. You imagine Squirrel Right versus a DB in space.
yeah.
He's
No, I
probably
know.
going to win that majority of the time. Yeah, the 50-50 ball is going to be to Deuce Robinson just because he's 6'6". But I think get Danzy, get those guys in space and let them make plays. Florida State should win this game. But if they lose, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, no, here's the thing. I was literally about to say Florida State should win, but if they do lose, Norvell's definitely getting canned. And on top of that, like you go back and look, Wake Forest are kind of like, whatever. They're 5-2 on the year, so they're capable. They won some games. They had a 1-point loss against Georgia Tech, who's the number one team in the ACC right now, and then they lost by 10 to NC State. Or they'd be 7-0. Like so again, this is a very losable game for Florida State. I'm going to pick Florida State just because they're at home,
coming off a bye week. At home,
but you cannot play the way you did at Stanford. You know what I'm saying? So. Like I said, I don't know, man.
I think they just take too many chances.
I don't know where the pulse is right now because again, they've played bad, the last several weeks.
I just feel like they take too many chances on offense, and the next thing you know, it's third and 10 plus, and then all he's doing is throwing a go ball or just running around the court, just running around, and you're like, this is your offense.
Yeah, I feel like Florida State wins this week. I feel like they get right and win this one.
I agree with you, but
we'll give them the dub.
Be your offense.
I totally agree. And
then defensively, your defensive line, they might want to work on some technique at the defensive line position. How to swim, how to rip, how to do everything else but bull rush every play. That's all they do is bull rush every play.
Maybe they went back to the basics during the bye week and got some of that wrinkled up. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. All right, dog. Your boys going on the road to Dallas. SMU.
A lot of familiar faces in Dallas where you're going against Chris Johnson Jr., Rhett Lashley, Romello Brinson. So it's a lot of faces on the SMU team that really wants to win this game.
Right.
Is Mesidor back? I'm not sure. We'll find out Saturday morning at noon.
We got to wait for I was about to say we got to wait for at least they'll
come
out with
the injury
later in the week. Yeah, later in the week.
Don't look at the just wait to see who walks on the field.
Yeah.
I think they should be able Miami should be able to run the football against SMU, but you know what they're going to do? They're going to load the box. They're going to put 5 guys on the line of scrimmage, and they're going to dare Carson to beat them throwing the ball. Carson could do it. Just take the easy plays. Take the check down. Take the check down. We'll take 4 or 5 yards, and then ultimately what Mario wants to do is just lean on him, and then by the third, fourth quarter, he just wants to be like, your will is bent, and we're just going to be able to do whatever we want.
Yeah.
I think Miami's going to win the game. I don't know if they're going to cover. And, they got to stop the QB run game with Jennings.
Yeah, Jennings has been disappointing this year, in my opinion, coming off of the playoff run last year. Yeah, he just hadn't looked great. He's thrown 8 picks. He's thrown for 2,000 yards. Yeah, he has. Brinson's the leading receiver. Chris Johnson Jr., like you said, he's the number 2 back, but he gets about as many carries. Well, TJ Harden's the leading carry guy. He's got 60 more carries, but Chris Johnson, obviously, your kind of home run guy. He had a big run early in the year for 87-yard touchdown run. But I don't know. SMU's been disappointing, to say the least. Obviously, you come off a 1-point loss last week to Wake. They got kind of worked against TCU early in the year. They lost to Baylor week 2. They've just been a little disappointing. Yeah, they beat Clemson.
They're going to get up in front of this game.
No doubt, no doubt. They, like you say,
And how does Miami handle finally leaving the state of Florida?
right? No, all those
This is
are
your
definite
first game
factors.
out of the state of Florida
This
on
is
the
this is
road.
definitely all those things are factors of
Yeah,
where
going to
you cannot.
Tallahassee is going to Tallahassee,
No,
but
yeah, that's no.
now
You're
leaving,
leaving. You're getting on a plane. You're going to Dallas. You're doing all your road trip
yeah,
prep, all that stuff. Yeah, like you said, a team like SMU, you're playing the number 10 ranked team in the country. You're playing a playoff team potentially in the country. You want to knock them off. You want to, you
hmm
want to go like, do something, and especially with guys who, former players of the team,
a
you
lot
want to,
of them,
there's a little extra motivation,
yeah.
but I still feel like Miami's the better team. I feel like Miami does whatever they do to win the game. Like, yeah, who cares if you cover the 10.5 number? Just go on the road, get the dub, and just get out of
I
there.
think that's everyone's motto in the top
Yeah,
10,
yeah.
right?
No, for sure. You don't screw around.
Just win. Like you say, you think about the Alabama South Carolina game, and you go down the list of games, and it's like, hey
Yeah.
man, just win.
Well,
And it's
that's
funny because I'm starting to see more people on Twitter say that, like,
yeah.
I don't care about sexy wins anymore. The way the
Exactly.
season's
Well,
going,
that's
just
that's
win the
this week,
football
baby.
game.
That's the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. It's
You
spoil
can't say
season.
that. You can't say
Can
that
we?
anymore.
Oh, my bad. The
You can't
world's
say
largest outdoor fun party. No
whatever.
alcoholic beverages.
I call it the
Yeah,
cocktail party.
100%, 100%. Yeah, let's spoil some seasons here, Gators. We're still getting a little street cred. We're only a 7.5 point dog.
Yeah.
So
I think
the
people
question
still
is,
aren't. I think people still aren't. That offense at Georgia, they're still not impressed. It's like it's too inconsistent.
yeah, no, they definitely got to show some consistency for sure. The last game out we saw them, they were in a barn burner against Ole Miss, did enough to get a couple stops late in that game to win that one. The week before that, we saw them basically, in a tight one defensively against Auburn. They had the game where they lost, a tight one to Bama. Then they had that shootout
Mhm.
back and forth game against Tennessee. So their offense has been good in spots. Obviously, defensively, I don't think this is the vintage Kirby Smart defense of old. They just get those timely stops when they need
Mhm.
to. And like I say, that bodes well for a team in transition of what are we going to do offensively with
Throw the bag. I'm
it.
throwing
Hey,
everything.
why not?
The
Why not?
kitchen sink.
What we
If
ain't
I'm
got what
Florida,
what do we got to lose?
nothing.
Exactly.
Nothing.
So,
Because if you're on the
so
coaching staff, you're probably like, I'm probably not going to be here next year
yeah.
anyway.
So all right, what do you give the Gators? Like, do you think the Gators can win this game? What do they need to do to win this game?
I think if they could come out, establish the run, which we know they could do, and be consistent to the run. Don't be stubborn to say we're not going to run the football, but at the same time, put DJ in good situations to where it's 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4, or 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, to where you could go any direction where you're like, we could run it here, we could throw a little screen pass, or we could take a deep ball down to Dallas Wilson or VB3. I think offensively, the Gators need to establish the run, establish the dominance of saying we are coming here to run the football and be physical, but we're still going to take shots down the field. The offensive line, of course, has to protect DJ. You got to
Yeah,
protect DJ, and then defensively, just do what you've been doing the whole year.
yeah,
I think the Florida defense has. I think people have been giving them credit, but I think since the offense has been so bad that I don't think people are giving the defenses credit because as a team, they're looking at it as, well, that's just Florida. But I think if the
yeah,
defense stays playing at that high level, they have a ton of injuries, we know, but just play sound defense. I don't think our guy at quarterback, Gunnar Stockton, is a great passer.
right.
So just keep them contained, slow their run game down. And I think Florida has a great chance to win. I still got to pick Georgia because I got to see it coming off a
I was
bye
about to say
week.
you cannot pick Georgia.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I want to see offensively what they've done. I'm expecting to see a lot of different things.
yeah. I want to
than
see.
what
I
we've
want to
been
see what
seeing the last 6
I
weeks.
want to see what's changed in 14 days
Yeah.
since we basically said, all right, we're gonna do something different. And
Mm-hmm.
I guess the big thing for me too is
Let
you go
DJ get
back
the
like
ball out quick.
yeah, for sure. You go back and look, like the Gators played pretty damn tough at Texas A&M, a team who we just talked about. We think one of the top 3 teams in the country. They were going toe to toe with them, and they were only down a score when they decided to go
Mm-hmm.
for that like late kick, and then they just bled the clock out, And like I say, the Gators were in that ball game, pretty much until the end. So that was on the road, with a lot of guys banged up. You turn around, you play it tough. Like Mississippi State, man, I feel bad for them. They just like I say,
They're right there. They're right there on the doorstep, but they just can't walk through the door.
They lost some heartbreakers this year, dude.
Yeah.
So
Tennessee, to you guys last
Texas.
week. I just I mean, if you're Jeff Lebby and Bulldog Nation, you got to say we should put some money into this and help this guy out because
Right.
Shapen's just a freshman, sophomore, something like that, red shirt.
Yeah.
So it's grab some guys out of the portal and if they can retain a lot of guys, they might be pretty good.
Yeah, like I say, for Gators, I want to see what changes have been made offensively. But like I say, don't get too cute. We know the strength of the team is giving Jaden Ball the football. Let him run it. Georgia's going to try to obviously sell out to stop the run. But like you said, commit to it to where you can get yourself in kind of second and third and manageable plays and not behind the chains. If you can stay ahead of the chains a little bit, then maybe you can get some one-on-one matchups with Dallas, with VB down the field. And like I say, defensively, just keep playing what you play, bend but don't break. Hopefully you can force some turnovers. And like I say, again, just be in the damn ball game. Make it a fun game. And like I say, let's spoil some seasons, man. We got an opportunity to knock off 3 really good teams that are right now in the playoff run in Georgia, Ole Miss, and Tennessee. So I'm all for it. Again, we got house money now. The cloud has been lifted off of our shoulders, off of our heads. Just go out and have fun, go play some ball. And like I say, let's knock them dogs off, man. Screw them dogs. All right, homie. What other games you got circled on your radar for this week? As far as obviously the big 3, who's on your watch list? You got Vandy, Texas. We talked about them earlier. You like Vandy? You like Bobby?
I like Vandy. I like Vandy. I saw that line this morning, and I'm just scratching my head like, what has Texas done for you to be like Texas is a favorite in this game? I get it.
They're playing at home. They're playing at home, and like I say, they're trying to get the money coming in.
Right. So So they're playing at home. They had a little offensive explosion at the end of the game to win that game against Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, that Vandy defense has been playing pretty good against a Texas offense that hasn't been lighting it up for the most part this year. Pavia is going to put them in the right situations, right plays. It might not be pretty. They're able to run the football. I like Vandy in this one.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I say, I feel like this just feels like a Texas spot for me. I don't know why. I don't know why either. Going back to I watched some of those fourth quarter throws. Arch was throwing some damn lasers in that damn second half.
He's looked decent in he has. Year. He's just got to put it all together.
Well, it's that, and it's just like I say, they've been so kind of inconsistent, just kind of all over the board.
Figuring out who the other guys are.
Like I say, they're having trouble running the football too.
Yeah.
So like that. So then it comes down to where Arch has got to throw it 46 times. Like that. Yeah. That cannot be the game plan. So like I say, then on the flip side of that too, their defense hasn't been as good as it. So they lost a lot of guys on that defense.
No, but we didn't even touch on this one. The rumors about Sarkisian trying to get out of there to go to the NFL.
Yeah, I don't know how true that is or not, too, but yeah, that's a big deal.
But I don't think rumors like that just come out of thin air and nowhere.
They don't.
So it's now, how does that even mess up with the psyche of the team of knowing that you're hearing rumors at 18, 19, 20-year-olds? Yeah, our coach is coming in here telling us he wants to be here. He's Texas and blah, blah, blah. But then you hear on the outside, like, he's trying to get out of here any way possible to go to the NFL. And then you're probably like, so he's doing the same thing I'm trying to do. Why are we here? You just don't know the human mind and what people think. So, I'm curious to see how this affects Texas the rest of the way.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a thing to keep an eye on for sure. Let's see. We got another. I'll go with this next one. I think this could be an interesting game, but I again, how much does South Carolina have in the tank
after that gut-wrenching loss?
Going to Oxford. Could this be a down spot for Ole Miss, though? You just had a big win on the road. So it's going to be the psyche of South Carolina. Does Beamer keep his job, man? Like, should he just get fired and go take the Virginia Tech job?
But we keep saying fire this guy, fire that guy. If you're South Carolina and you just say if you're the AD and you got 3 or 4 names on your list, is South Carolina in the top 5 for any of your guys?
That's what I'm saying. I agree. I know I know.
That's and we're talking about LSU, Florida, and Penn State are open.
Yeah.
With a potential Texas being open, potential USC
Auburn,
being
Florida
open,
State,
Auburn, Florida State.
Wisconsin.
They're better than
Hell, like I say,
Wisconsin.
that's what I'm saying. Virginia Tech and South Carolina.
Yeah,
how much of a better job is South Carolina and Virginia Tech? Just
I
because
think
they're in
South
SEC?
Carolina is I think South Carolina is a better job than Virginia Tech. Obviously, we know if he went to Virginia Tech, we know why. But if I'm him, why would I want to go
Shit,
do
there's
what my dad already
less
did?
expectations, I guess. But hell, they'll fire you anywhere nowadays. So I guess woo.
You ain't lying about that.
Like,
Anyone can get got.
There's too much expectations, man.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
again,
I think
not
Carolina,
everybody can win, man. Not everybody can win.
So who I think South Carolina is the better job?
Huh?
I think South Carolina is the better job between that and VTech.
But there's a lot more
it's more
way more difficult, way more difficult. Like,
yeah.
You might be able to go win 8 games and be fine at Virginia Tech, and then maybe get a 10-win season every now and again.
Mm-hmm.
This SEC slate, man, like Beamer, dog be looking so stressed on the side.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I'm curious to see the Ole Miss defense and how if they can slow down Sellers and
oh my god, we talked about this earlier, dude. So again, they played LSU, Oklahoma, Bama. Now they go to Ole Miss, and then they play at Texas A&M.
Dude, I highlighted this in the preview show.
I know. I know this.
I know.
So again, they're 3-5 right now. Okay, so let's give them 2 more losses. They're 3-7. We'll give them the Coastal Carolina win at 4-7. Then they get the Palmetto State game against Clemson. So you're looking at if
they win that one, if he can keep his job up until that game, and they win 4,
or they go 5, that'll be his 5th win.
If he
5-7, 5-7.
If he can beat Clemson 4 years in a row, he keeps his job.
Yeah, you're probably right. Whew,
he keeps his job. Man. If he could make it to the Clemson game and beat Clemson, he keeps his job.
Yeah. All right.
Unless he wants to leave and go to Vatech.
Like Ole Miss should win this game, but like I say, I want to see where the psyche is of has South Carolina mailed it in, or does Ole Miss have a little bit of a letdown? We'll see that.
Because they've been playing some tough games the last couple of weeks.
That's a night game. That's a night game in the Grove.
Yep.
The other ranked top 20 game is Boomer Sooner. Yeah, going to Knoxville, which is another interesting game. This is I like, honestly. Where's Oklahoma coming off a loss? Tennessee. We've seen what Tennessee can be. I still think Oklahoma's D is pretty good.
Playing against that Tennessee offense, it's going to be the reverse.
That's going to be the challenge. Kind of like
how does the Tennessee? Yeah, how does the Tennessee defense play against that OU offense who's been struggling? That's the key to this game.
Tennessee punished BBN, man. They beat the dog out of them boys.
Yeah,
they took that old rivalry and said, "No, sir." Mark Stoops, who was it that Kentucky played Texas the week before down to the wire,
who also might be fired this offseason. That's becoming a trend, isn't it? Mark Stoops might be out at.
Oh yeah. No, for sure.
So there might be another job open. I like Tennessee. I like Tennessee to win this game. I think their offense is explosive. I think where OU is so. I think their front four, like you've been highlighting all year, their front four is very good. I think the key to Tennessee winning this game, get the ball out quick. We know they like to take those shots down the field. But I think if they can get the ball out quick, which they can because they're going to spread you out and they're going to put up points. Now, will OU keep up the pace, or can that defense create enough turnovers to where they're now allowing Tennessee to score 30, 40, 50 points? But I like Tennessee in this game.
Yeah, I think I like the Vols too. I think
Money Mateer is just not healthy.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma can make it a ball game, but I like Tennessee at home. And like I say, that's your primetime game. How about the college game day going to Utah? Rice Eccles, Cincinnati at Utah, 10-15 kickoff.
That's a top 25 game.
Yeah, I'll be asleep. I'm not going to watch that one.
I'm going to have a lot of tequila in me.
So yeah, Cincinnati at Utah. Cincy's been playing tough, man. They're 7-1. They're one loss the freaking first game of the season to Riola.
How about Utah taking Coach
Yeah,
Prime and the
dude.
Buffs behind the woodshed?
Yeah, that was
That's
a
the
shell.
get off the sticks in the first
Yeah,
quarter
yeah.
type
That
game.
dude, that I at
Whew.
one point I was like, it's still the first half. I was like, what is going
42
on
to
here?
nothing.
Yeah,
42
it
to
was.
nothing in the first half.
Yeah, no, like I say, they Utah
I
had the
haven't
tough
really
loss.
watched.
Yeah, they had the
My
tough
bad.
loss the
Go
week
ahead.
before against BYU. They had the tough loss against
Yeah.
BYU in the
Oh.
rivalry game. They lost. They got
Mhm.
blasted early in the season to Texas Tech. Um, I don't know. I feel like Utah at home, but
Yeah.
since he's been playing tough, but I think this is a step up for Cincinnati. Because you
Yeah.
look at who they've played and who they've beaten. They've kind of beat they had a nice win against Iowa State a couple weeks ago, but UCF's not that great. Obviously, Oklahoma State's terrible.
Yeah.
They smacked around Baylor a little bit, who's been decent, but
Mhm.
I don't know. It's
I
not
think it
Jakari's
comes down
Baylor.
to
Not
Dampier
Jakari's
not
Baylor. It's not Jakari's Baylor squad.
right. I think as long as Dampier doesn't turn the ball over, if he doesn't turn the ball over and they're able to run and play great defense, Utah's going to win this game. I pick Utah to win. Like I
Yeah,
said, I don't know a ton about Cincinnati, but I've watched and I know that's what they want to do. They want to run the football, play great defense.
yeah. Well,
I'm
that's
taking Utah in
BYU.
this.
BYU and Cincinnati are the last two remaining undefeated teams in conference
Mhm.
play in the Big 12.
Yeah.
You had Arizona State go down last week. Levitt got hurt. How about Houston, man? How about Houston? They're sneaky 7-1 right now too. So, like I say, there's
Connor Wegman.
the Big 12 is getting kind of interesting as we go down the stretch.
Well,
Can
I was
BYU
gonna
can
no, go
BYU
ahead.
be that team? Now, I was just gonna say, can BYU do what they didn't do last year, where they were kind of in this
Yeah.
spot and they weren't able to win
Well,
out?
so Texas Tech's kind of in a pickle. What do they do? Will Hammond tore his ACL. Not sure on Morton. Um, will Morton try to play, or will they play the third string in Mitch Griffiths? Like I mean, clearly they won the game and they shut out whoever they played last week. I can't remember who they played.
Okie State. They played Okie
Yeah,
State.
so it's 42 to nothing. But going forward, both of those quarterbacks I think have been playing pretty good this season. Well, we know for sure one of them is out for the year. Hammond's out for the year with a torn ACL. Um, so that's something we got to watch. They play Kansas State this weekend. They're 7.5-point favorite.
Yep.
So I mean that Big 12 race is a race that I think the Big 12 race and is it
ACC,
American? The
American, and ACC,
American,
all three of
yeah,
those.
yeah, those are three races you got to keep an eye on and see what comes out. I mean, even the SEC,
I was
but
about
I
to say,
wasn't trying.
even SECs, like all of them are, because who's gonna is A&M's right now in the leaderboard for that
Mm-hmm,
one, but then you got Bama and Georgia on the
mm-hmm.
trails in the SEC. You got the one loss teams of like
Yeah,
Ole Miss.
but I think I guess I was saying it because of the
Yeah, no,
outside of the norm.
right, totally. Yeah, because like I say,
So
that the Big Ten is on a looks like a collision course for Indiana and Ohio State.
yeah,
But yeah, the Big 12 is kind of crazy. The ACC is
mm-hmm,
wacky too. So those
yeah,
definitely some wildness of that. But
yeah.
yeah,
I
what
only got
other
two more.
what other game? Who else you got?
I Well, this game was circled preseason. Penn State at
Oh yeah.
Ohio
True,
State.
true.
I
Yeah,
think Ohio State's going to blow them out,
yeah,
but I think you still got to highlight it because you want to see if they're going to step up and just try to play this game and see how they feel about playing it. And the last one I have is another Big Ten game. Can Matt Rule actually get a decent big win and stop bragging about beating Maryland on the road? USC is going to Lincoln. Can Dylan Raiola just act like a normal quarterback and not Patrick Mahomes Jr.?
yeah. USC
And
is almost a 7-point favorite road dog.
yeah, you mean favorite?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're road favorite.
Yeah. I think USC is going to win. I don't believe anything about the Nebraska team. They got to show me.
Yeah,
And does your coach want to be there?
yeah. No, like I say, who knows? Like I say, I like USC in this game too because like Nebraska, they've been less than impressive to me.
Hmm?
Yeah, they beat Northwestern by a touchdown last week, but that Maryland game, was tight. The Minnesota loss was just ugly in my opinion. and now you're getting a ranked opponent. But hey, if this is going to give Lincoln Riley another loss, maybe to get him to Gainesville, let's go, Husker Nation. I need all candidates on deck. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, you want your pick of the litter. You
exactly.
want to be able to get a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Oh,
yeah, I gotta have it all.
Guy.
I gotta have it all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. That's all I got for the week. You know.
Yeah, there's a couple, like I say, decent games. Obviously, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Good ranked opponent games.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, we're about to get. You know, what's crazy is we're whittling it down too. You know, where we're gonna have 3 and 4 games left on the schedule. You know, it's kind of crazy that we're in week 10. You know what I'm saying? And then you just look at this top 10, top 20, and it's so non-traditional when you see in teams like Indiana, Vandy, you know, BYU in the top 10, Texas Tech. Nuts. So Cincinnati, you know, but I think a lot of people are saying, you know, they're kind of comparing this Vandy. Are they like Indiana last year? So like I say, we'll see if they can we'll see if they can have the magic to, you know, like I say, you like them this week in Austin. I like them to lose this week. So we'll see. Something's got to give.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I say, we'll see where the chips fall in the next couple games when they, you know, got to win. If they do get this big win against Texas, you know, follow it up with a win out against Auburn and Kentucky, you know, before you close out the year. But yeah, I think what's your Heisman thoughts? Anything like Heisman's such a stupid thing now. I
hadn't even thought about it, to be honest with you.
It's going to go people got Mendoza in there, like, you know, is he the Heisman? I know Pavia has been talked about,
right? I mean, but when you look at their numbers, you're like, I think, when you look at Mendoza's numbers, they're good, but are they Heisman good?
It's not Cam Newton or Tebow numbers or anything like that. No. And nobody's even doing those even on a team that's got 2 or 3 losses. You know,
that's what I'm saying.
When I think of like Heisman, I'm thinking like Vince Young numbers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they had a special season,
right? Like
no one's having a special season.
No, not even a running back. You know, like Genty last year.
Like I said, I just think it's just too much movement. There's no continuity on a lot of these teams, and it's not going to get better. It's going to be about the same because all these rosters are going to flip again next year. Yeah. And for some teams, it's going to take longer than others to get in a groove because with no preseason, heck, some guys still transferring in the middle of the summer and whatnot. That's just what we got to expect. Hopefully with this one portal window that they're going to start soon, hopefully that helps. But I think kids are going to find the loophole, kind of like Xavier Lucas that went to Miami, where I'll just go to Miami and technically walk on, but I still get NIL. So I kind of circumvent the whole I'm on scholarship.
Yeah, top 10 QBs yards wise, none of these guys would be on your radar to be like, you know, the only guy you would really know, like, okay, Sawyer Robertson, the kid at Baylor, is leading the nation in yards, but then
he leads in touchdowns as well, I think.
Yeah, he's got 23 touchdowns. The next is Hoover from TCU. Aguilar's at 4. The biggest name in the top 10 is Ty Simpson. He's got 2,100 yards, 20 touchdowns, 1 interception.
I think Ty's been playing out since that Florida State game. You take that Florida State game out, he's been playing great.
I guess a guy who could maybe get in the mix would be, we talked about him earlier, Marcel Reed. You know, if they continue on and you know, he can rack up some touchdowns.
Yeah, he has to play better. Yeah, I think he's been playing good, but there are spots where he kind of like disappears for a little bit, makes some mistakes. Yeah. But I guess right now I do like Ty Simpson. If his receivers would just catch the ball, he would have more yards and more touchdowns. They're not egregious like how Florida was. I mean, not Florida, like the Georgia receivers last year, but there's still some bad drops in there.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah, Heisman. We probably shouldn't even talk about Heisman for another 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, no, I know.
There's no one really lighting it up like that.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
All right, dog. We'll enjoy the trip. You're headed out.
Yep.
Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
You'll be back
Sunday.
Sunday. True that.
Gotta do a lot of catching up because I will probably be inebriated most of the trip.
True that. We'll enjoy the trip, and like I say, we'll we'll watch some ball, and we'll catch up again and do it again next week. And on to the next, man. Like I say, let's go Gators. Let's spoil the Dogs season, and let's go Canes, go Noles. You know, Noles, you need to win. Noles, I'm rooting for you. Canes, just take care of business, and then
win is a win is a win.
We'll enjoy the rest of the games as we go on until we talk again next week in week 11.
Yes, sir.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Almost, man.
I know.
Flying by.
I won't say it's almost over because we still got a couple more weeks, and then we still got playoffs. We got playoffs. So, all right, my man. Enjoy your time, and we will hit the like,
subscribe, share.
Holler at your boys, and we will catch you next week.